Good morning, everyone. My name is Zia, and I make videos about full-time life in my shuttle bus. I thought today I'd share with you my journey from van life into shuttle bus life. I actually bought my first van. It's in the fall of 2019. My mother had passed away and had left me a little bit of money, and I traded in my little red Focus, my little car, and bought a 2007 Transit Connect XLT. And I bought that because I thought it would be really good on gas, really easy to park. And my son-in-law built it out for me. I told him what I wanted and how I wanted it done. I did some of the work in it. The ceiling was sort of a felt material, but it was gray, so it felt quite dark, and I painted that white. I painted the woodwork. I did some of the insulating, but my son-in-law did the bulk of the work in the van. And my first trip in it was to Vancouver Island. And at the time, I had my little Charlie, and he wasn't used to traveling, and he was not a happy camper at all. It took him a while to adjust, but eventually he got used to living the van life. I had that bus for a while and realized that as cute as it was and as much as I loved it, it was just too small. At the time, I hadn't had any of my joint replacements. For those of you who don't know, I've had both knees and one hip done. And I just found it too hard to get around, to maneuver in there. Most of the things were stored under the bed or under the kitchen counter, and there was a very narrow space between the edge of the bed and the counter. Also, the bed was very narrow. It was narrower than a single bed, and that was really hard for me to get comfortable on. And I was feeling quite devastated. I thought, oh my gosh, I've left it too late. This isn't going to work for me now. And then I thought, no, you're not giving up on this dream, because I still had not done my cross Canada trip yet. I thought, no, you're just going to get a bigger van, one that you can stand up in, one that you can maneuver in a little bit better. I don't think, any video of my little white van, but I do have some photos, and I'll put them on for you here. So I sold that little van. I sold it to another woman who was a bit younger than me, a bit more flexible than me. And she renamed that first van, which I had called Emma after my mom. She renamed it the Tin Teepee. And she was driving around British Columbia, and she was selling things out of the Tin Teepee that she had picked up at thrift stores. And she would go to small towns in the interior of BC that didn't have shops and things, and would set everything up and sell to the women in the town. I thought it was such a cool idea. She still has that van and is still traveling around in it. I'm really happy about that. Of course, my next van was a 1994 Dodge Ram Royal Coach. And it was like moving into a mansion after the little van that I had. Now, I wasn't full time at that point in time. I'd done a few trips in the little white van, and I was about to do my cross Canada trip in in Luna. In 2022, for my 70th birthday, I decided to fulfill a lifelong dream of driving across Canada. I went from Richmond, which is a suburb of Vancouver on the west coast, all the way to Newfoundland. And I went down into the New England area. I went to several of the states down there. And then I came back across the Midwest and back up into Canada again. I had originally intended to be gone for 6 months, but it was getting into late October, and I was a little bit worried about getting stuck in mountain passes. So I decided to come back after 4.5 months. During the time that I had Luna, uh, I had decorated her based on the color scheme that was in the van at that time. And it sort of had a turquoisey blue-green fabric everywhere. And the cabinets were wood, but they were sort of a reddish colored wood. I never did care for them very much. So at one point in time, I did a complete redecoration of Luna and turned her into a little English country cottage. My first van, Emma 1, was kind of Scandinavian. It was all white and black, very neutral, with little touches of pale pink in it. The second one, like I said, went from, it's kind of a boho look in it, I guess, at first, with the first fabrics and things I had, and then it became like an English country cottage, and I loved it. I really loved it. It was very cozy, and Charlie, by the time we were in there, was very comfortable. I came back from the cross Canada trip back into my suite I was renting, and after a few months of being back at home, I realized I was just back in the old habit of watching TV again and missing who I had been when I was on the road. That road trip changed me so much. My confidence soared. Um, there's a lot of time for introspection when you're on your own and you're driving day after day and hour after hour. And the insights that came to me about what it was I wanted out of life at this stage of life, um, it was a gift that I didn't even anticipate. I knew I wanted to fulfill the dream of doing that trip, but I didn't anticipate the gifts that it would give me. The things that I saw, the people that I met, uh, it was just priceless. It really was invaluable. And so my decision to move into Luna full time was twofold. One was that I missed that free spirited me that I had been on that trip. I missed that. I missed seeing new things and meeting new people. But part of it was financial too. I'm a senior on a very small fixed pension. And because I was paying rent and utilities, I wasn't able to really save any money. And I thought, well, if I move into the van full time, all that money I spend on rent and electricity, I could save that money, or I could start doing some more traveling. And so I gave my notice and decided to move full time into Luna. And I did that in May of 2023. I moved in full time. And I did other trips in the January of this year. I went down to Arizona and attended the WRTR and the RTR. I was able to have an interview with Bob Wells of Cheap RV Living, which really boosted my channel. And I met an amazing group of women that I'm still in touch with. We camped out, just boondocking out in the desert without any kind of amenities at all for about 20 days. We also went to Schoolypalooza, which was a gathering of people in converted buses. And it was at that event where I thought to myself, now that would be really cool. That's a little bit bigger. There'd be a little more comfort in something that size. And so when I came back, well, first of all, let me show you some footage of Luna. So when I came back, I thought to myself, I'm going to start looking for a shuttle bus or a school bus. I really had my heart set on an old fashioned looking school bus, like the old Bluebird buses, but a small one. And I did find one that I absolutely loved. The pictures of it were adorable. But when I went to have a look at it, it was nothing like the picture that was shown on Facebook Marketplace. It had been pristine in the photo, but when I got to the place where it was being lived in, it was sort of buried in a forest. It had a broken windshield. It was covered in moss. And I couldn't even test drive it. And I decided to let that go. I really was optimistic. I thought maybe I could make it work. But eventually I looked at a few others and then I found this one, a shuttle bus. And it's a 1998 and it's a Ford E350. It's got a V10 gas engine in it. So believe me, it really does guzzle the gas. It really does. I put in today, I was driving, I put in $150 Canadian dollars, and that got me half a tank of gas. So, yeah, it does guzzle the gas. But I bought this partially converted bus, which I have now named Emma 2. It still says Shuttle 17 on the side, and I'm leaving it there because I don't mind if people think it's a shuttle bus. And I started converting it. I bought it in April. I think it was April. And started working on it with the help of a few friends and some of my own muscles. I ripped out what had been done in here and started redoing it. And I absolutely love the amount of space in here. The reason, in part, for wanting something bigger like this was that at some point in time, if I no longer want to travel anymore or I can't travel anymore, this would be big enough for me to live in. And I have a very good friend, some of you know, Adelina from my big tiny house life. She has a plan to buy some property and has told me that there would be a place for me on that property. And so I may do that. I'm not sure where I'm going to end up, but I do know that if I needed to, I could live in this full time and be quite happy. One of the downsides for me right now, well, first of all, let me show you some footage of what's been going on in Emma 2. So I do love the space in here. I love all the windows, and I'm very happy with how it's coming together. And I know that I could live quite comfortably in here if I had to park it permanently. I'd probably park it somewhere, put some planter boxes outside, maybe a little deck, and that would be great. The downside for me right now is that I have been in this bus now for quite a while, quite a few months. And at the moment I'm living in it, it's kind of a glamping experience right now. I don't have a house battery. I do have a very powerful power station now, which I was hoping would power my fridge freezer. And it will, but I need to find a way to connect that to my engine or to some solar power. So there's a lot of things I need for this to work really comfortably for me as a home rather than just as a camping experience. I need to install a diesel heater, but I also need to have a house battery so that I can power the diesel heater. And hopefully, from the house battery, as well as it running the diesel engine, I'm hoping it will run some more lighting. I do have enough lights in here now. I've put up some puck lights and some what we called in England fairy lights. Um, and they're fine. They give me enough light. They really do. But it would be nice to have that. And at some point in time, I'd like to have an instant, hot water, um, and put in a proper faucet in here so that I can have running water. Um, it will happen, but I'm not sure how quickly that's going to happen, to be honest with you. And we're coming towards, where are we now? We're in the middle of August. So really, I've got maybe about a month and a half before the nights start to get a little bit cool. I need to get some work done in here. But I'm optimistic that it will happen. And I'm not sorry I bought this shuttle bus at all. I miss Luna because she had an onboard propane tank. So I had a regular refrigerator and little freezer that were propane and a 2-burner cooktop. I only have a single burner in here at the moment. But I do have a Camp Chef oven with a 2 propane oven with 2 propane burners on top. And at some point in time, I might have that installed. So I'm a long way from being where I want to be comfort-wise in here. But it's all part of the journey. And it's been a few years now to get to this point, and I wouldn't trade the experience for the world. I am so glad that I did this. I have my moments of missing a flushing toilet and having a shower on board, but the experiences I've had, the things I've seen, and the people I've met, yeah, I wouldn't trade that for the world. it's given me new life. It really has. It makes me feel younger. It makes me feel joyful and excited. And because of everything that's happened on my bus journey, I'm now up in Summerland. I arrived today, and next weekend I have a group of 14, possibly 15 women coming. One coming all the way from Quebec to attend my Boulder Women Camping Weekend. My girlfriend Anne has graciously allowed us to use her acreage, her cherry orchard, for this event. I've revived a workshop that I put together for a college program I was taking when I got my counseling certification, and I've revised it now for specifically this group of women. And they're going to be going on a wine tour, and we're going to have a wine and cheese meet and greet, and we're going to have hopefully a campfire with s'mores and wiener roast. It's just going to be so much fun. I wanted to try and start building some community in Canada like I found down at the WRTR when I was there in Arizona. And I think this is going to be the start of it. This is also bringing me out of retirement. And I'm hoping that from this experience and from this workshop, that some of the participants may want to take another program that I'm certified in, which is Sacred Gifts. That program, when I took the workshop before I became certified myself, it changed so much for me in the way I looked at relationships, and how it allowed me to start feeling on purpose in my life. And now I really feel this is the first time in my life that I feel authentically who I always was, but for many years didn't get to express. And I also feel like I'm thriving now. Instead of just sitting in my apartment watching television. It's not easy. Trust me, this is not an easy life. Every day I have to think about where am I going to sleep tonight. And if I'm in my hometown, I have two usual places that I'm very comfortable going to. But if you're traveling, you have to figure that out every day. You have to figure out where you're going to have a shower, and do you have to go to a laundromat? I hate going to laundromats. But although I did meet a nice lady in a laundromat down in Quartzsite, Arizona. Anyway, I'm sort of waffling on a bit. This was supposed to be about my journey, my 3 vans, my 2 vans, and my bus. And will there be a bigger vehicle? No, I will not be going into a bigger bus. It will be this bus, or if coming out of retirement starts to bring me enough income in, maybe I'll build a tiny house and keep my bus too. There's so much to still look forward to. So that's my story about my journey into full-time nomad life as a senior solo female. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to know your journeys, your stories. Are you hoping to do this? Have you just started doing it? Have you been doing this for years? And are you loving it? Are you doing it out of a want or out of need or a little bit of both like me? Comment. Let's have a conversation about that. Please give me a thumbs up and please subscribe. And of course, wherever you are in our big, beautiful world, I hope you're having a wonderful day. And I'm going to say bye-bye for now. I love you all, and I will see you next week. Maybe next week. My event is next week, so I'm going to try and have something for you. And I am going to try and film some of the event too, if the women that are attending are okay with that. So I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.